Cool. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to TCL-55. This is the week 0 meeting, the first time that we all get to get together and talk about the project and what we're going to do. So I am glad to meet all of you, and we will spend a minute here and kind of go around the room, as it were, and just kind of do a little bit of introductions on ourselves, and then we will talk a little bit about what we're going to get up to for the next 8 weeks or so, and how everything's kind of going to go and work. So I think I will go ahead and get that going, unless anybody has any immediate questions that they want to address right at the start before we dive in. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So my name is Lyle. And we can, as we go around the room, we can do your name, kind of pronouns if you want. A little bit about just your background and yourself and why you're here is probably also a good idea. So, kind of where you've been and what you're hoping to get out of the whole experience as well, I think would be great. And then, we'll start talking. So, yeah, my name's Lyle. I am a full stack developer. I've been, I think, doing this as a full-time job now for a little bit over a decade, depending on how you want to measure, kind of going back into school and internships and stuff. I was an Angular developer for a good little while, not necessarily a React developer, but have messed around with it enough to feel pretty good bombing around in the code. And otherwise, I've been spent a lot of time kind of working in Java, doing a little bit of data stuff, working in some healthcare, working for the Scaled Agile company, and working on an actual Agile team. And these days, I'm working for a company called Fusion Auth, which we are a authentication and authorization server solution for people. So if you have questions about logging in and how all that stuff works, I can definitely answer any of that. I picked up TCL back in 2021, ran a couple of the cohorts back then. I think it was 21 and 27 were the ones that I was on. And then I took 2022, kind of just was moving around a little bit and doing some different things. And now I'm back in here again and happy to be mentoring here and help running us through another cohort. So it should be exciting. That's me. I'm just going to point at the mentors first, and then we'll get you guys going next. So Shraddha, why don't you go?
Yep. So hi, everyone. My name is Shraddha, and I'm one of your mentors. This is my first time being as a mentor in Collab Lab, so I'm really excited to be here. I'm a full stack web developer. Mainly, I'm interested in front end. So if you have I like CSS and stuff, so you can ask me if there is any problem related to that. Yeah, I'm based out of Richmond, Virginia, and excited to be here with you all and see how it goes in 2 months journey.
I remember where my mute button is. Awesome. Thank you very much. Devin, do you want to go?
Yeah, hi, everyone. My name is Devin. I'm based in Trinidad and Tobago, and also a full stack developer, mostly experienced in JavaScript, mostly experienced on the front end in React. I pretty much like the entire stack, so I'll be back and forth between front end and back end. But I welcome any challenge in that sense. I did mentor for the first quarter's cohort, and I had fun doing it, so I decided to come back again and participate. And yeah, we're here for you. So if you have any questions or anytime, any concerns, just always feel free to reach out to us for anything.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so next I'm just going to kind of point out names at the top of my bar, just so going across. And then, yeah, if I say your name slightly incorrectly on the first time around, I apologize. We'll try and get it right going forward after you introduce yourself. So let's start with, is it Tisha?
Yeah, it's Tisha. Hi, I'm Tisha, pronouns are she or they. I'm from LA, and I was really interested in automation and accessibility, which led me to IT. And then I realized I really enjoyed software engineering. So now I'm transitioning my career into that. I do also have experience in TV administration and a little bit in nonprofit.
So I'm glad to have you. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Jeremiah, you're next.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Jeremiah, and some of like the documentation stuff on GitHub and other places, I might say Johnny, because that's my first name, but I go by Jeremiah, which is my middle name. He, him pronouns, background, like currently for a long time now, I've worked at like Boys and Girls Club in like a rural suburban kind of area, kind of just involving myself in any tech things that we do here or like in the community. I've done some schooling and a lot of self-taught stuff for coding, mostly like front end stuff. And then the reason why I applied for this is because I have a friend who actually applied to be one of the mentors. He isn't one of the ones in this cohort, but he sent it to me, and the reason why I looked like it was worth applying is like a lot of the stuff yesterday from the like kickoff event is stuff that I've like experienced in interviews and that kind of thing. Like I don't really have any experience working on like group projects or like on a team where there are deadlines and that kind of thing. Like anything that I've done is like self-driven, I guess. And so like having answers for those questions is one of my goals to get out of this.
Awesome. Sounds like you're in the right spot. That's cool. All right, Catherine, you're next.
Sure. Hi, I'm Catherine. I live in Stamford, Connecticut, but I'm originally from New York. I was a product owner, product manager for about like 10 years or so. And then I became a stay-at-home mom for the last 2 years. And while I was doing that, I was doing a coding boot camp. And so I did Flatiron school, and I did, because I was kind of doing the full-time mom thing, I did Flatiron as their like flex program. So I did it like on my own, self-paced, which was great, but I also did not get to collaborate with anyone. I kind of did all my projects on my own. And so I'm really excited to, work with the team and, start collaborating with everyone.
Great, awesome. Yeah, we're in the right place. It's gonna be good. Excited. All right, and then Yao, we got you up next.
All right, hi everybody. So my name is Yao. I'm a she, her. A little bit background about me. So I'm actually a pharmacist and I graduated in 2019, worked as a pharmacist for 2.5 to 3 years and then realized, okay, this is not for me. I actually started my coding journey like way before, back when I was in high school. It was right next to a college called Brooklyn College, and there was like web dev, there was like, building games, and I really enjoyed that. And I think what lacked in pharmacy for me was that I felt like the growth was not as much as I would have liked, and I feel like I wasn't learning. And a big thing about me is that I really like constantly learning about new things, and that just wasn't there. So I did join a boot camp. I graduated in September, and then recently I actually did get an internship. However, it's not as I would have liked. They don't really do a lot of coding, though I am learning C# on the side, but it's mainly like a web builder, some SQL that's mixed in. What I do want to get out of this program, and what was lacking during my boot camp, was, I think, like Catherine mentioned, is peer programming as well as working with other developers. And I haven't really been touching React ever since I graduated. So this is definitely something that I want to do more with.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you all very much for doing the intros. And welcome. I think I'm excited for everything to get going, and I'm glad we're all ready to go. So I am going to just kind of quickly go over, a little bit of kind of the process that we're going to get into, and then we'll dive into it in the thick of it a little bit further. But let me do a share screen here as well. That's okay. So if you haven't already gone and I think some of you were on the kickoff meeting for the whole cohort from yesterday. If you haven't or you weren't there, do go through and watch that YouTube video. Will just kind of give you a good general idea of kind of what's going on and who's all here. But otherwise, I'm going to kind of talk through our repo and our contributors and project brief real quick, and then we will kind of dive into the weekly stuff kind of after that. So let's go first, make sure. I think I saw people editing this already. Not quite yet. I gotcha. So looks like Jeremiah, you're already in here. One of the first things that you'll want to go do is in our Git repo. This is the TCL-55 smart shopping list. This is the Git repo where we'll be doing most of our work. As maybe kind of shortly after we're done here, one of the first things you're going to want to go do is edit this page and get your name on here, preferably with an emoji attached on this side, and list links to your GitHub, so that we know who you are, and have links to your stuff. We'll go in here and get that set up. Then we'll look at the orientation here. This is, again, one of the ones that they covered a little bit in the kickoff meeting yesterday. Just talks a little bit about the pair programming. What we are going to do is kind of have everybody pair off every week, and each pair will get assigned an issue from our user stories list to go and build for that week. We do have pretty specific AC on these things. They are going to be maybe feel easy, maybe not feel easy for the first few weeks. And sometimes we're tempted to kind of like do a little bit more extra work to fill them out and do flashy stuff. Save that urge a little bit. The later weeks will allow for some more creativity and some more kind of open-ended direction on the stuff that you want to do. So especially for the first several weeks that we're doing the project, just kind of stick to the AC that is on the cards. When I say AC, I mean the acceptance criteria. I think we'll get where we need to go. We don't want to get out too far and start having variance in the way we want to build the application. Otherwise, this again just talks about our task or our story. We'll go and look at those, and then just coordinated action and communication. I think you've kind of already seen us messing around in Slack a little bit. Slack is definitely going to be the best place to do any talking, any questions, any thoughts that you got going on. I would go there first, and we're all pretty receptive to jumping in and answering questions there. Later, I will throw out a doodle for office hours. So I'm going to be handling the first office hours later this week. So we'll say kind of what makes a good time for all of you to hop on and do that. If for some reason, like you want to do office hours and we pick a time and it just really doesn't work, just let me know and we'll schedule a different time to hop on a Zoom call, and then we can talk and answer through any questions that you might have kind of in person while we're walking through a weekly issue, and we'll get that taken care of. Office hours are also a great time to just ask any other general questions that you have. So if the stuff we're working on during the week is you got it all handled already, but you're curious about industry questions, or you're just curious about what good tacos I've had that week, we can just chat around those things too. So they're an open-ended session that I encourage you to take advantage of when we get those scheduled, and enjoy it. Otherwise, as we go through the week, you will be paired off. It would be a good idea to try and schedule with your partner some time to maybe hop on a call, and I will try and make the Zoom links available to you as well if you want to use them. If you have your own things, Google Meet or whatever you want to use as a different venue for meeting up, that's fine. And then just keep your communication in a thread in Slack is probably the right way to handle any asynchronous communication that you want to do. And that way you can kind of talk through and get that pair programming experience that we want to have during the week as you work through some of this stuff. So this goes into a little bit of detail about working on future branches and pulling them out. Devin's going to go through a module on Git here in just a second. But this is, kind of talking through the process of actually creating a pull request, and goes over the weekly cadence, some of what I'm just, kind of talking about here. But basically, first couple of weeks, or first couple of days in the week, rather, start talking it out, doing your research that you need, come up with a plan, open your pull request as early as possible so that you have a place to see your work live, and keep going off of that. And by Thursday, hopefully you'll have some working code, or at least mostly functional version of your story done during the week, so that we can get mentor feedback potentially on your pull request. So we'll have, I think we've decided to spread the pull request responsibility across all three of us mentors during the week. So we will take a look at what you've got, hopefully by Thursday or Friday. And I say hopefully because different weeks will go at different paces, right? Some days will just be done on Monday, and others you'll be leading into Saturday and unable to figure things out. And we'll be able to accommodate you there. But ideally, we'll be able to give you some feedback and comments on the pull requests that you've opened. Hopefully, we can get those incorporated with the goal of kind of getting everything merged by the time we do our next weekly meet, which we will do every Sunday at this time. And again, if there's something that comes up, we're all human beings. Let us know in Slack or some other way, and we can, move schedules around and accommodate you in some other way. And we will, do our best to make sure we get everything caught up and in our weekly syncs. Speaking of, as we get down to here, they're going to kind of go in the same format every week. Week 0 being kind of a different one because we are just starting this whole thing, but we'll get into the cadence pretty fast. So today, where we're doing kind of introductions, every other week after this, the first section of our weekly syncs will be demos. So the stuff that you've worked on during the week ideally should be merged and in the main line of the code, which will be deployed up on Firebase and viewable on the internet at large. And we can talk about it and see what you did. If for some reason your assigned task did not get merged by that Sunday night, which might happen, just depending on how things go, then instead of maybe doing the demo, then maybe we'll talk about what happened and how we can avoid those pitfalls in the future. Actually kind of hope that happens a little bit to the team, just because it is actually a good thing to kind of work through those events when they happen. Kind of an important part of doing developer work is struggling with it and maybe not quite getting to across the line when you thought you would. We're famously late in development in our deliverables most of the time. Then after we're done doing the demos and talking it through, should only take a couple of minutes most of the time, we'll pivot to either doing a learning module or a retrospective. So the learning modules are just going to be kind of an educational thing, different topic every other week, kind of relevant to the process. Today, we're going to do talking about Git. So actually being able to open pull requests and commit to the repository. And then next week, we're going to do a retrospective. In software, especially in agile methodologies, retrospectives are an important ceremony where you talk about usually the last sprint, which is typically 2 weeks, but that varies by the organization, and discuss kind of what went well, what didn't go so well, and how things might be improved for the next sprint as you're going forward. And that sort of continuous mindset of constant improvement and constant reflection helps make us all better. So we're going to go through that exercise, I think, starting next week and then every other week after that. And then we'll close out by doing a planning for the tasks to come up. So we'll go and we'll look at the project board and we'll say, hey, here's the 2 tasks that we need to get done this week. Here are the pairs that are going to be working on it. Who wants to do what? Do we have any questions? Let's dive in and go. So that will be kind of how we wrap it up towards the end of the meetings. And anything else I want to talk about here? Our nice little picture, lots of books. Cool. That's the Apollo project. All right, before I dive into anything else next, does anyone have any questions after that long, rambly explanation of stuff that I just did?
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions. I guess
Go
the
for it.
first thing is regarding office hours, right? I
Mhm.
know that that is time primarily is there so that, you know, you can help us get unstuck, right? Since we're working in teams of 2, should we be reaching out to the other team for help first prior to coming to you? Is that the expectation?
It's not a bad idea.
Okay.
I will say the only reason to maybe not is
Mhm.
we're really only expecting, I don't know, what are we saying, like 5 hours a week or something, you know, max at everybody.
Right.
And we really don't want you to commit too much more than that. It's supposed to be, you know, a part-time commitment because we all got other stuff going on. And I actually think that it's a good idea to reach out to your other teammates. I would just say be conscientious of the time. If we're really stuck and we're spending our time helping you get unstuck and distracting the other team when we could be going to mentors and taking care of that, that's the only thing I would keep in mind. But by all means, talk to your other teammates about what's going on, ask questions. Somebody might have the answer, and that's absolutely a thing you want to do.
Okay. And I do have 2 other questions. They are about the orientation documentation. I'm not sure if Devin's going to go a little bit more into it. There was a section about documentation, and then there was a section about draft PRs. And I guess I just kind of want to know like where and like what we're documenting on, and also for the draft PRs, like how we're going to integrate this with our real PRs.
I know the answer to the draft PR question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you're referencing on the documentation side. Did you have a specific thing to point at?
Let me see, because I know Stacy mentioned that like everything should be documented in terms of like what we're doing. I guess like probably like our code. So I wasn't sure like where are we doing that? Like, are we doing a README? Are we like documenting in our code? Like, what are we doing with that?
I remember this, right? She
Yeah.
said keep track of stuff. So I think that particular note that Stacy mentioned in the kickoff call yesterday was, as you're going through this process, keep your own set of notes and writing things down for you, and keep track of your experience going through this so that later when people ask you questions about it, you have something to kind of point back to and remember. That is, I don't think in what she was saying there was particular to the project itself, but more for your own benefit. We will do an article write-up and post it on Dev2 at the end of the project. And, you know, we'll kind of ask for some input, I think, when we go and do that article. So sometimes having those kinds of notes will be helpful. But again, I don't think that that's not part of the project per se, I think. As far as the draft pull requests, so when you get your assignment for the week, you can see I actually opened a pull request a few days ago just because I was testing out functionality and making sure that all of our stuff works before we dive in. If you do that and open up a draft PR, that gives you a place to see your work and see how it compares to the main branch in Git. Without necessarily signaling to other people that this is a pull request that we want people to look at. I should double check and see. So when you open a pull request in Git right now, it will actually build and deploy your code to a URL specific to your branch of the code so that you can go out and see it. And I think that will still happen with a draft pull request as well. But in either case, it gives you a live place to go and look and see the progress that you're making on your issue. And a draft pull request is a good way to do that without it necessarily being like, this is review time. And this is something that I do regularly all the time at work, is open up drafts. And then, you know, when it's ready and I actually want it reviewed, I will convert it from a draft to a real pull request. And then people will go in and add their comments and feedback on it. And then I will incorporate it and get it kind of ready to go. And the draft PR is really something that you want to do like first. Get that going early in the week, you know, talk it out with your partner and say, like, here's the branch that we're going to make. Let's, you know, push our branch up and then create the pull request. And that's if you didn't do anything else, you just have it completely otherwise code the same as main, then you did a good job in getting that set up and ready to go for as a place to work. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, any other questions? Cool. All right, so now we're gonna do the learning module, and I'm gonna hand it over to Devin. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen for the moment.
Oh, I need to have permissions to share my screen.
That should be better now. Sorry about that.
Yep. All right, let me get the correct screen. All right, can you all see the screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So before I start here, has everyone worked with Git before for any like personal projects or group projects? Yeah. All right, so we're just gonna run through some of the things here. Now, this is just a very shallow overview. Like Git has a ton of features that you could get into later on, but this should be enough to get you covered for this project and most of your team projects that you have to build. All right, so what we'll cover. So what we're going to be looking at for this project would be how to create and switch branches using Git checkout, how to stage your changes using Git add, saving your changes in history using Git commit, sending those changes to GitHub, which is a push, getting the latest changes, and then merging your changes into the main branch. So Git terms, you all should be familiar with some of these. So the repo or repositories, basically a collection of files under source control like Git. So and the remote would be that place or the origin of where that repository is hosted, like GitHub or GitLab, and there are several others as well, but GitHub just tends to be the most popular one that we always use. A branch is basically a working copy of the repository, and in this project and most of the other projects, the main branch will be that source of truth, right? A commit would basically be a set of changes that are made to the repository, and the head would usually refer to the last commit. And a PR or pull request would just be a document of how and why changes should merge with main. And yeah, this one is specific to GitHub. Yeah. So this just kind of shows the process of why we would use branches in this case. So using branches is basically allows you to make changes locally on your own machine without affecting the main branch. So for example, adding styles or adding tests. And once those changes are approved, they get merged back into main without affecting anything. Okay. So the commands that you'll commonly use, git checkout. So git checkout would really be used for creating, I should say, sorry, for switching to a particular branch, right? So typically you would create a branch with git checkout -b. So that actually, and followed by the name of the branch, which would actually create that branch for you and switch you to that branch on your local machine, right? And they would basically be making all the changes to your code. If you need to switch between branches, basically you could just use git checkout main, and that would just switch you back to the main branch or to any other branch once you have the correct name for it. Yeah. Staging changes would basically prepare files to be committed, and only files that have changes would be staged. Oh, right. You could use git add -A or dot to add all files to be committed. That's the one I typically use all the time. And then git commit basically will take stage changes and will commit them to Git. So it creates a saved record of the changes to the code base, allows you to actually read, in some detail as to what changes were made at that commit. So it's usually a good reason or good idea to have like at least a descriptive name of changes that were made for that commit. So I'd say, yeah, if you submit no options, it will open an editor to give you an option to write a message. But as good practice, just try to have a good message. So typically you would use that -m followed by an inline message to describe the changes in that commit. Now, git commit -a will stage any tracked files to be committed, and git am will stage track files and also accept an inline message. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that -a will only stage files that you've already added. So if you don't add it via git add -a or git add dot, it won't be staged. Yeah, so these are only for files that you're currently tracking already. And then when you're finished with all your changes, you could push it to the repository. So git push should be a familiar command to everyone. There are some commands you will use. So in cases where you actually created a new branch, for the very first time, you'd have to set the origin. And usually the command would be git push -u origin cool feature. If for some reason you forget this command and you actually just try to git push, the cool thing about git is that it will actually give you the command itself to set the upstream. And that will just be for the very first time that you actually push to that branch. So once it's created, you will just use git push from there on out. And then getting the latest changes. So one thing to bear in mind is that, especially from the main branch, even though you may be working on your own branch, there may be changes that are pushed or merged to main. So you want to make sure that you always have the most recent version of the code, right? So every now and then you should switch to main and maybe do a git pull. In this project, you kind of have an idea of when changes are merged to main, because I think we have bots that are set up in the Slack channel. But even so, I'd say at the end of every week, once branches and changes are merged to main, just make sure and do a git pull to have the most recent version of it. Now, once you're finished with your branch and you have changes pushed to your branch, the next stage would basically be to create a pull request. All right. What a pull request does, basically creates a request to merge your code into main. So you'd actually just get to this pull request. So you could use the GUI on GitHub and click that new pull request button. I don't know if we have any more images after this. Yeah. Yeah. We could probably get into this in a bit more detail, maybe during the week or 4 office hours. But once you click that new pull request, you will see two branches. So just remember, you're trying to merge your branch into main, and you have to do like a write-up of changes that were made as well. All right, and merge conflict. So this is one that commonly comes up, especially when you have a bunch of people working on the same code base, right? Don't worry, it's going to be okay. But this just basically happens when we try to make changes to the same file or the same code, and Git can't figure out which is the correct one to use. Yeah. So I think at this point, just if it does happen, just communicate with your team. See where there is, see which code is the correct one that has to be used. But this is also a good reason to stick within the scope of your sorry, I got the word. Yeah, but just stick within the scope of what you have to do for the week, so that you don't kind of overstep, basically. Yeah. And feel free to reach out. But if this does happen, like Lyle says, it'd be a good experience because this will happen at some point, in real development. We will link you with a bunch of resources, but the last one is the most important one, which would be a team. And feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah, if you caught yesterday during the call, it was Andrew who was tripping over, because typically, like, I think it comes from a support context. If like the issues that you work off of are referred to as tickets, because like there's support tickets and that kind of stuff that tends to be a lot of the thing. But in GitHub specifically, they're called issues that we're working off of, and so he just portmanteaued it into tissue, and like it's perfect. Yeah, calling them tissues.
We should use that for now on for this group.
Anybody got questions about Git?
Actually, I do. And this kind of like segues into, since you guys have more experience with this, is like how I'm trying to think of like the best way that, I can collaborate with my partner, right? I think the most straightforward way is like, hey, somebody pulls up their, Visual Studio Code, shares Zoom, and then the other person's kind of like watching along, like, reading what's being typed, kind of make sense of it, try to like talk through it. The other thing, I don't even know if this is possible because I don't have all that much experience with Git, is that, like how more than likely we're going to have like, 2 feature branches coming off the main, right? One for each group, and then we're going to both be working on it before we merge it back. But is it possible to actually like do another merge of that feature branch? So like somebody's pushing into the feature and the other person's kind of like pulling it down, working. I don't know if that's possible because I think that would be actually pretty helpful too.
Anyone want to get that one? I got it. So the answer is yes, in short, to that question. Basically, so a branch on Git, I mean, even main branch is just another branch. So you can branch off of anything as many times as you want to, and then merge and combine them back in. So when I'm doing like a big project, like we will oftentimes have a feature branch that a team is working off of. But then if I want to go and work on some stuff myself, I might even branch off of that. And then I will do a bunch of little things. And sometimes I'm trying something and then I will just throw that away. But other times, like I will get to a spot where it works and then want to merge it back into the feature branch so that we can continue working before we get ready to merge it back into main. It's the thing that people actually do a lot. One of the things you may or may not want to look into is just squashing. So I am a person who likes to make a lot of little commits as I go. Like I, change the line here, change the line there, change the line there. And they can be really noisy to look at. Squashing, rewrite all of your little commits into one big commit that you then merge into a feature branch, which can be useful too, like if I want to clean up what I was doing or review for somebody else, right? So I can just like say, like, here's all my messing around commits that got tidied up into one little thing. That being said, like, I think Zoom calls and having one person or whatever, Slack or any other thing that like will do huddling and let you video watch. Like just watching one person drive around in the code is good enough most of the time. The feature in the JetBrains tool is called Code With Me. Visual Studio Code has an equivalent feature that I can't, the name of it is escaping my head, but there, live should thank you. Where you actually can basically interact on the same file with each other, kind of like how Google Docs lets you both edit at the same time in the browser. So if that's like you really want to do it that way, like that's another way to take care of that. So you can both be editing at the same time. Which works well in some situations. I find sometimes you're just bumping into each other, sometimes doing that kind of thing. So it just depends on how you and your partner kind of want to work and get it done. The only thing I would caution you against having 2 disparate branches working tightly on the same piece of code is Git really doesn't like it when 2 people have edited the same line of code that they're trying to merge in together. And so you'll end up with merge conflicts. And that would be the only thing I would want to avoid, so you don't give yourself that headache. Otherwise, find what you like works for you and your partner, and go from there. Anyone else have any thoughts about that?
That was really helpful.
Sweet. All right, well then I think we can start talking about stuff we want to do this next week. So Shonda, do you want to take over?
Yeah, thanks, Ty. So I'll share my screen. Yep. So give me a second. Yeah. So I will be going over the issues that we will be doing like this entire week. But before even getting to that, when you come to the repo of the TCL-55, then you would have like clear instructions how to set up your project, basically installing Node and NPM and clone the GitHub repo. Most of the things are very clearly mentioned here, but if you guys have any problem in doing that and getting the project set up and get it run, please feel free to tag us and ask for help in the Slack. Once your project is set up and you are like running the project in your local, your laptop, this is how it would look right now. So it's running on localhost and you are on like the home page. And this all like basic setup has been done already in your repo. So you can just go over the code to have like a heads up how things are being set up. But for the most parts, the first week is really like straightforward and easy. You could go to the projects where all the issues have been listed off, and we will be tackling issue number 1 and 2. And we have divided like 4 of you into pairs. So in week 1, we have 2 pairs. So both of you would be taking like 1 issue each, and you would be working over that. So our first issue, so as you know that the app that we are going to develop in this 8 weeks will be a shopping list. So the main feature of the shopping list should ideally be able to read the items and display. So as you see right now, there is nothing getting displayed like on the homepage, and plus the routes here on the app as also they are broken. They are not like completely like linked up together. So your first issue should be like to read the data. Data is already provided. I'll show you in a while. To read the data, the items, and just render it all on the page. So where you are going to render it is like the route is list. So when you go to the list, all it is mentioned is hello from list page. So you will render all the items here. I'll go over it. We are using the Firebase as a database, and already there are like 5 items, added here. So, and the setup of Firebase to our app has already been done. So let me just go over. So this is our repo, and wait a second, let me move this away. Yeah, this is our repo, and if you could see like in app.js, the necessary connections has been done, and Lyle has tested that it's working completely with the Firebase as expected. So what you have to do now, that go to the list component. You could see that list component would be there. And this is where you get the message hello from code list page. So this list component is present in list route. So that's why I went to this route, and basically you could see the message. So in the list component, you are the nice comments are given there so that you can just read over it. So you are going to read the data props that is being passed here from your app component and just render it. And how you are going to render it? Using the list item component. List item is another component that is just a list, and it just like basically prints the item. You will be tempted to actually change this list item component to make it more descriptive or so, but that's not the scope of this issue, I guess. Yep. So as per the acceptance criteria, you could see there are 3, out of which 2 has been taken care of. The third one is that in the list.jsx, the list item component is used to render the name of each item. So you're basically going over the data array and just rendering it on the screen. So what you should do is when I should be going to this list route, I should basically see all the 5 items listed on the screen. So in the notes, you can get the more clarity, like your goal is to make sure that the names of the items are rendered as expected. And the data you need is already being passed into the list component. You could see it here. It's passed as a prop, just read it and render it. So that's the first issue. Do anybody has any question? Like, all good? Awesome. That's great. So this is our first issue. The second one is like, as a user, I want to be able to navigate to all the pages in the application by clicking the links in the nav bar. So if you go to the home page, you see like there are links, but I mean, they are not properly connected. They are like broken. You have to make it work. I'll show you. We have the layout component here. I mean, all these details are clearly mentioned in your issue. It's just that I'm going over it. So don't worry and don't think about like, oh, you have to remember it, note down everything. They have very clearly mentioned the steps here. So in the layout component, when you go there, so that basically takes care of your navigation of the entire app. So in the layout component, you could see that there is a nav mentioned there, but they are using anchor tags. And they have like listed like you should have a link to home, to list, to add item, but they are using anchor tag. And anchor tags does a full page refresh. And we are using React that is mostly used for single page applications, though it's changing, but we'll be using nav link component here. So instead of using anchor, you are going to use nav link. And you can read more about it, like on the docs, that's very clearly shown there. And using the nav link component, you will create these links to home, list, and add items. Where to link it to? In app.js, they have already created the routes. Can you see this? This is for the home, this is for the list, this is for the add item. So it should be straightforward, but if you feel any doubts or any questions, just feel free to tag us and check with us. Is there anything like that you want to ask here? All good? Awesome. So I think we should be allotting these to two different pairs, right, Live?
Yeah, so real quick, I mean, Johnny, I think we just covered for the Jeremiah thing, so that's
Ariana.
you.
I'm not sure who Ariana is here.
Yeah, that's my legal name.
Okay, that's great.
Do we want to
Awesome.
update that so that we have the ones that we want to go by as opposed to our, legal boring names in there? We can get that fixed. Okay, just making sure we didn't have a mistake in our thing. I think we're good to
Yeah,
go.
I thought about changing mine, but I was like, I don't know if I can mess with this, so I just left it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's great. So yeah, we have to ideally assign these two. So do you guys have any preference of which issue to work on? Nothing?
No, I don't have a preference.
No preference.
Okay, so it would be great. Like I'll just go allot the first group.
Actually, I think I do have a preference. Can I do the routing? Can
Okay.
me and TCL do the routing? Okay.
That's true. So Yao and Ariana, I'll just assign them. I mean, in the meanwhile, if you guys have any questions or things, you can keep on talking. By the way, I'm doing this. Oh, sorry.
This is
You are under
the
routing.
list one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just now realized that.
There's also a Git workflow, or not Git workflow, a Slack workflow that I can set up that will automatically start pairing threads for you in Slack. So like you'll just automatically have a thread for you and your partner to go and talk in the week to go and work that through. Would that be helpful to set up, or do you think you all just want to like tag each other in a thread and start talking there?
I think it would be helpful.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I will go and do that shortly here.
Yeah.
I just don't know like how the notifications work, you know, for Slack. If, you know, there was like a thread and it's only meant for 2 people, but there's like, you know, chat going on. Like, I don't want it to like bombard everybody.
I think we actually do have a module on Slack stuff coming up in a few weeks. So I think we will talk about that in more in depth because it is such a thing that every workplace struggles with. But in general, you can kind of tune the notifications in your settings yourself. I think hitting in the, just typing in the channel will light it up as though there are new messages in there, and anyone who is subscribed to the channel specifically will see those pop up. So I think Andrew specifically like subscribes to all of the team channels and sees all the notifications come through. So when anybody's talking, like he will kind of see those. If you're in a thread, after that initial first message, only the people in that thread will continue to see those as notifications and updates in there. So you're not like creating like new pop-ups for everybody else. You're only doing that in the threads. That's part of the reason to do it that way.
I just lost the unmute button. I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm done assigning the issues. So if there is anything else like to discuss, we can go on.
I just had another question. So just going back to what we were talking about before, for the start of the pair programming, can you do recommend maybe in the beginning, we can obviously play around with how we want to do it, but maybe in the beginning, having only one branch and then having one person work on it and then kind of watch and talk through versus potentially both being in there at the same time or creating 2 branches, right? Like maybe to start off. Do you think that's the best way potentially?
I think having the one branch is probably the best, especially for the start here where there's not a lot of code involved in the first couple of weeks. So, you know, it's more about the process at this point than anything else. That said, if you are going off later and you're doing some, you know, stuff you want to work through, then there's maybe more of a case for that. But I think right now, the thing you want to set up is get one branch opened and having talked that through. Get that pushed up to GitHub, and then from that branch, create the draft pull request that should open up and get that visible. And I think that's maybe the first thing to chat about with your teammate and get that going pretty much right away. Like you don't need to do that like 5 seconds after we hop off the call, but within, you know, the next day or two, having that going should be the goal. And then over the next couple of days, figure out when to get the actual code changes pushed up and implemented, and then feel good about it to the point where you can just kind of say like, hey, mentors, and you know, I think we're ready for a code review here. And then we'll go in and provide feedback.
And in terms of the code review, is it fairly informal, like, hey everyone, we're ready for a code review kind of thing? Or
Yeah, I think so. I think
okay.
For sure, make sure that your PR is in full PR state. So have moved from draft to regular PR. And I think at that point, do we just want to, I think we can agree on this as a team. Do you want to formally assign the mentors to the pull request as a way to signal it? Because I will get like emails from GitHub in my thing that says like, yeah, you've been assigned to this pull request. Like that's a good system for me, but everybody has a little bit of a different preference. So that sound like a good way to handle it?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, once you talk, I'll take a look at it as well. So
Okay, thanks.
Sweet. And yeah, and then just ask any questions in Slack as you go. We'll answer them. Okay, any other questions? You guys excited?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, the first couple, like I said, this week's stuff is relatively straightforward. So you like, oh, we got it, but again, it's more about getting the process and getting the the mechanics of the thing worked out, and then we'll start diving into the building of the app going forward after that. So otherwise, I think things are good. I think we got a good group here. I think we're all set. Happy with
Oh,
it.
I did have a final question. I
Sure.
know that these weekly things are being recorded. Will the, I guess, links be shared with us in Slack then? Or
Yes. So what will happen, now I'm probably not gonna do this until later this evening, just because I did just arrive in Phoenix for some work stuff. So I'm gonna actually probably pop off and go do the work, meet with the coworkers and things. But this is recorded. I will have the recording. I'll download that off of Zoom, and then I will post it up to YouTube, and then I will drop it in the Slack channel when I'm done. So that we'll all have it there. Right. Then I think we can wrap it up. Let's go after it. It's going to be a fun time.
Thank you.
All right, everybody.
guys,
Thank you very
Thank
catch you
much.
guys later.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.